Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Great news on the Japan front, guys. The whole reason why it became ridiculously expensive to import guitars from Japan is because a service called EMS shut down shipments to the US. And that was all due to COVID, but I just read this today. They opened up and resumed services on June 1st. Because EMS used to cost like $120, and then it switched over to FedEx only at like $350. Now, they did say that they're doing a rate increase, and I haven't bought anything from Japan in a while. So maybe it'll be more expensive, but hey, that's good news on this front. So now let's take a look at this horribly ugly guitar. Okay, so this is an Aria Pro II in what they call jail drop burst. I wanted to get your guys' opinions on this. Like, I don't want to sway you one way or the other. I think in theory, this was a good finish. It just needs blended in more. So it's like dark red into a light pinkish white color. But this one, it just looks like you got an egg right there to me. And then you get like a traditional like rim burst job going on. But at the same time, it also reminds me of looking directly into the sun. Or if you put your finger on top of a camera lens. It's unique. I'll give them that. You will definitely get some attention on stage with a guitar like this, but I think they probably could have just done without this area. Like, the abrupt transition between these colors works, but not so much once you get to that white. That's what just makes it look like a Zoot Suit knockoff. But then the closer you get to it, the less jarring it is, I guess. But hey, check this out. Kind of like a PRS style. I'm not exactly familiar with how these work. Do you put it down here and then it locks in place? Or can you also string it up like normal? I'm not sure there, but it looks like you have like a harmonica styled bridge right there. But this photo starts to show you what made me actually want to share this with you. So it has a really dark ebony-like fretboard. I haven't read the specs, so I don't know what wood it is. But check that out. It appears it might have black binding, or that's just the finish wrapping around the edge, but the back is still white. So then that matches with the white belly. And my friends, it gets even better the further on you go on this thing. The entire back is just white. So maybe this is one of those finishes that, you know, you jump to conclusions too quickly, and in person it looks better than it does in photos because you get to see the whole picture. I really like this white sides with the black right here. I think that would look sweet on just a Les Paul custom. There is a tuxedo custom with a white top, black back, but I think just a black with white sides, that might be interesting. But where this one just completely lost me is this headstock. What were they thinking? It's one thing to put Les Paul model right here, telling you what it is, but designed and approved by H. Handy, original TA-shaped body number, blah, 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 produced by Aria and Co. Incorporated Japan. You're not going to get any style points for having a whole book on your headstock. It brings a whole new meaning to open book headstock, right? The Aria Pro II. Okay. Well, I just wanted to share that with you guys because I thought it was interesting. And it is available for 286,000 yen, so... whoa. Really? I thought this was like a cheap guitar. No, that's almost 3,000? Whoa. I guess I didn't realize those were that expensive. Maybe there's something I'm missing about this, you know, being a limited edition. Okay, now this all makes sense. So this is a signature model for this guy, Takashi Ohashi. That goes by the nickname Jail. So his signature colors are black, red to pink, and white. You can see right here he's got kind of a Les Paul styled instrument. He's got the face paint similar to Kiss. He even had a Stratocaster done up like that. So this guitar makes a lot more sense being played by this guy. But I had no idea the Arias were that expensive. But now let's talk about this listing. Honestly, I think this dealer just made a mistake because this listing was not live for more than 24 hours and it shows that it was ended. So he either returned it from where he got it from after being filled in with the true story, or who knows what happened to this thing. I did not see it get relisted. But before we go too far into this, let's actually read our description. So it was advertised as Les Paul Custom 1974, one of a kind in alpine white with a special order factory Kahler tremolo. Okay, so I knew right away from that, 1974 in Kahler, no, that's physically impossible. Kahlers were not invented yet in 1974 because the Kahler tremolo system was not actually even thought of until 1979, and Floyd Rose's came out in 77. So So the fact that this is a 74, that doesn't bode well for being factory original, unfortunately. But I'm reporting on this simply to teach you guys a lesson, because maybe this guy watches my show and he took my advice but only took like half of what the truth was. Like, it's hard to tell you every little thing every time I give you a snippet of advice. Because he says this is a very extra special 2 pickup example with factory ordered and installed Kahler tremolo unit done when new, retaining its white paint in its cavity as proof. That's the thing where I'm sure I've said that in a video, somebody's taken that as, okay, if it has paint in there, that means it's 100% true, the real deal. So you look at something like this, you see the finish has just incredibly aged, like unbelievably. This is a yellow guitar at this point. And then you get here and you go, oh, it's got paint in here. It matches the paint in there. So it must be an original Kahler. Okay, you also have to do detective work. Just because you have paint in here, it's a good sign if you have an 80s Les Paul. But another thing you have to look at is the actual Kahler route itself. This is not how Gibson would route a Kahler. Kahlers normally have a tab up here, so they'll come over and then they'll come up. So it's not a perfect square like this. So I can definitely tell from there that this has been completely routed after the factory. It looks like we still have our original tailpiece studs right here, but the ABR1 bridge posts would have had to been routed out larger for the Kahler. So now that we know that that story is completely false, and hey, we have a 1980 date stamped pickup in the bridge, but that now tells us this entire guitar was likely refinished at one point in time. Which is a real kicker to the value of this thing, because now you went from super cool aged guitar, factory custom ordered Kahler to refinished, routed with a Kahler. Sure, it looks like it's a late 74. So that neck pickup does appear to be original, but unfortunately the value is just not there on this anymore as a refinished guitar. I mean, maybe they just refinished the top to match the rest of the sides, because this actually looks incredibly convincing. If there's been a guitar that's been exposed to the tar and cigarettes at bars and whatnot, it'll age just like this. Sometimes not quite as evenly, but it is possible to find one like this. We even have the original waffle back tuners on here, surprisingly enough. But as a factory custom order, no, not $10,000. I was actually lucky enough to have saw this just as it was listed, but then a day later I saw this listing get roasted brutally on a Facebook post, so I thought I'd kind of set the story straight on what is true and what isn't. Just kind of a interesting listing. What do I think this is actually worth? It's kind of cool. The Kahler hurts the value a lot. The potential refinish means who knows what's hiding underneath that, maybe a repair. I could still see somebody paying anywhere between $25 to maybe $35 for this example. They're one of those guys that has to love a Kahler and love everything else about it, because let's face it, despite not being original, it's got some good parts in it and it's got a cool vibe to it. People love these aged white customs, and you can see what other people are asking for theirs currently. So getting a refinished one would definitely make someone happy. But speaking of refinished Les Paul customs, check this thing out. When I first saw this, I thought, is that one of those Koa top Les Paul customs? Because I saw this and it's got that like reddy rosewoodiness to it. So that also made me start to think, is this a Brazilian rosewood Les Paul custom? Because I looked at the date and it's like 1972. Okay, that's a bit early, but maybe they're just wrong. But then I saw the rest of the title. Custom 54 reissue. Oh, no! 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 Somebody stripped one of the reissue 54 Les Paul customs. Originally, it would have looked like this. Beautiful ebony finish, just like in the olden days. But no, somebody, at least they left the headstock alone. You've got the golden lacquer there with all the original parts. Looks like somebody has refretted it though. But they took the finish off the top, exposing the mahogany top. A lot of people don't realize that. Traditionally, a Les Paul custom had a mahogany top. It did not have a maple top. Now, modern Les Paul customs, they have the maple ones. But if you buy like a 57 reissue Les Paul custom, the special spec to those guys is they do it traditionally like this one. But moving on to the back, we see the limited edition serial number LE770160, made in USA. You can still see the black paint within that, so that tells you, yep, the entire thing was once black and then stripped. Now, can I say I blame them? This is a beautiful looking guitar in a natural finish. Here, once again, you can see the black paint within the cavities. It appears to also have an error correct case, and even a flight case on top of that. But it is a shame to have lost the original black finish on this. So how much are they asking for this? Unfortunately, way too much for not having the original finish. I mean, $14,000. Maybe, just maybe, if you found a closet queen in 1000% mint condition, you might, just might be able to find somebody to buy it for that. He says he's selling it because of the recent inflation of the price. I mean, guitar values are up. He is right, but they're not that up. I think what he's doing is he's looking at these crazy sellers who want 16, 15. He's just trying to take advantage of that. Somebody who might see these, not care about the finish, and just go for that. There's nothing wrong with that. Generally, you're within that $6,000 to $10,000 range on these things. But these are some of the most collectible Norlin era Les Pauls if you're looking for traditional specs. I mean, these aren't exactly the same as a 54 Les Paul Custom, but they are nice. So despite this one saying it's sold, you don't know how much it sold for. I doubt it was more than $10,000. But one last thing I want to talk about this one, when I realized what it was, I was really hoping they left the back black, because a natural top with a black back, that would kind of be cool on this guitar. And to end today's episode off, we have a Fender Stratocaster Special Edition. This one is number 36 of 60 blue Moto finish Stratocasters. According to the seller anyways. Now if you don't know, Moto stands for Mother of Toilet Seat. It refers to this whole pearloid design right here. And it gets its name because, back in the days before I can really even remember, toilet seats used to be made of this pearloid material, so people would remember them at like grandma's house, and the nickname just stuck with Fender lore anyways. It's a pearloid material. I mean, Supros have been made out of them. Some look cool, some don't. I mean, it's a personal taste type thing. But Fender has made Telecasters, Stratocasters. I'm sure there's other body shapes. But if I call something Mother a toilet seat, that's the legitimate terminology. Fender calls them Moto Strats. You just can't, put that in the blatant advertising. They have to hide it in there. So this blue one actually looks pretty cool in my opinion. And they've really motoed it out here, because even the pick guard is the pearloid material. I'm surprised they didn't go as far as like the knobs, the switch tip, and the pickup covers. I'm not a huge fan of like the white ones, but this blue, it just reminds me of like the ocean. And I'm really not sure how they create these things. One of these days I will have to get one of these in. Like, is the entire guitar plastic and they just route it out like that? That seems to make sense. Or do they dip it in molten plastic and it just somehow works? I don't know. That'll be a topic for another day. But this just appears to be like a regular limited edition USA Stratocaster, looking at the headstock anyways. Not necessarily a custom shop, yeah, just special edition USA. But for USA, it's got a really nice wood grainage on the neck, and they went as far as putting abalone inlay to match the Moto blue body. Because, the inlays, they've got some blue in them as well. And it looks like they put the limited edition status right here. So how much is this seller asking? $5,000. Now granted, it's only been listed for 6 days. It's got 19 watchers. That's not too bad. But that seems awfully high for just a Fender USA. Like, there's a custom shop version of this, granted in white, but they also did an amp with it. They gave you this giant case. And these things, sell anywhere between like 8 to 15,000, depending on a whole bunch of different factors. But this is a custom shop guitar, and the guitar itself, sometimes you find them separately for not too much. But it's not blue. But as far as evidence of how much these things were new, it looks like maybe 18 according to this forum post. And maybe there were a whole bunch of different colors made within the 60. Oh wow, this guy from 2012 says his was marked all the way down to $1,000. So maybe it's just one of those things that becomes more valuable over time. We'll let the market decide. All right, troglodytes, thank you for tuning in today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with a friend who you think would enjoy it, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.